Give it a minute here while people join the webinar. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Give it a couple minutes. All right. I think we are good to go. Welcome everyone to our third series of our third webinar in the series of Dunn discussions. My name is Mike McKee. I'm the Director of Admissions. We also have Britt Plant, our Associate Director of Admissions, here on the call with us tonight. So tonight's format for this Dunn discussion is a Q&A with myself. Britt's here to join us as well. And I was trying to think of how the format should go on this webinar, and it made me think of when a family comes to visit Dunn School with a million different questions. And as soon as we meet them in the admissions office, they want to fire off all the questions and get all the answers. And we're excited to do that. But a lot of times kind of walking around campus, getting to know the school, a lot of those questions get answered as we're out and about. So I kind of thought for tonight's format, first I would share just kind of an overview of the school, almost as if we were walking around school, telling you about the program, answering some of those questions, burning questions you might have. And then following that, we'll go into the Q&A. Please feel free to use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions that might not be answered during our time, or that's just kind of you're curious about. In addition, we have some great questions that were pre-submitted as well, so we'll get to some of those as well. So to start, I'm going to share my screen so that we can do a little walk around Dunn School here. So to start, some quick facts about Dunn School. You probably already know that we're located in Santa Barbara County in a beautiful town called Los Olivos. Los Olivos is kind of wine country of Santa Barbara. Imagine rolling hills and vineyards and a cute little downtown of Los Olivos that's walking distance for our kids right from campus, where there's coffee shops and there's restaurants, boutique shops, things like that. Dunn School was founded in 1957. It's a beautiful 55-acre campus, beautiful mountain views. The ocean's about 20 minutes away. We are a boarding and day school, grades 9 through 12. So we have about 175 students. 60% of those students are going to be boarding students. 40% are going to be day students, mostly from the San Ynez Valley that we're located in. And then also, we have 20% of our students who come from outside the US. So 17 different countries represented on our campus, a nice splash of diversity as you walk around. So exactly our location, this picture here is not our campus. Unfortunately, that's actually downtown Santa Barbara, which is 30 minutes from our campus. So we're located 2 hours north of Los Angeles, 4 hours south of San Francisco, as I mentioned, in the town of Los Olivos. Back when Dunn School was founded in 1957, it was founded with the philosophy of whole student education in mind. It's part of our mission statement, and kind of what that means for us is that Dunn School has incredible academics. We really push students to hit their potential. We have great classes, but we've also kind of taken a step back and said, if it's just academics we're focused on, we're kind of missing a wide spectrum of other areas that we want to see growth in our students during their time at our school. So at Dunn School, we have a set of core values. There's 5 of them. You see them here: emotional wellness, physical readiness, the academic side, the intellectual growth, social responsibility, and moral courage. This is kind of how we measure our students throughout their time at Dunn School. It's how we frame our curriculum and what we're offering to our students. It's how we measure ourselves as a school on how we're delivering on these 5 core values. In addition, it really frames our graduation requirements too, to make sure that all of these areas are touched on in order for a student to graduate on from Dunn School onto the next step. So I mentioned our campus, it's 55 acres. It's a beautiful campus. When you're on it, it's pretty much as far as you can see is all of our campus. You see some photos here. Right in the middle, that's an inside shot of one of our dormitories. Most of our dorm rooms are doubles, set up that exact same way, where there's 2 students in there, but it's separated by that privacy wall where each student has their own space. The top right photo is actually an outside picture of one of our dorms. That's a 9th and 10th grade boys dorm in that picture. Bottom right is our leadership center. In there, you'll find things like our student-run cafe, which I'll talk about in a little bit, some quiet study spaces, our college counseling office, and innovation lab. And then kind of the other photos on the left-hand side just give you a sense of our campus and how big it is, and showing an outdoor classroom right there. Here's our Sinclair Art Studio. In this building, you have things like our ceramics studio, which is the beautiful area on the right there with the garage doors. You have our photography lab and a little studio in there with drop screens and lighting equipment for students to take professional photographs. Also a fine art studio, drawing, painting, sculpture, all taking place on the left-hand side of this building. You know, I touched on the academics of Dunn School and how strong they are. We have small class sizes, 10 to 12 students in a classroom, and a lot of individual attention. About 80% of our teachers live right on our campus. So the access to your teachers, whether it's in class, outside of class, on the weekends, in the evenings, is really unparalleled. In Dunn School, as you walk around our campus, when you walk into these classrooms, first, you'll see that a lot of them are set up for discussion-based learning. They might be sitting in a circle or in groups like you see here. But also it's very rare to have a teacher at the front of the room just kind of giving information for students to just regurgitate on a standardized test. It's very kind of active learning by doing, hands-on and experiential. I love this photo as an example of that. This is actually a 9th grade physics class that was learning things like density and buoyancy and displacement. And the project was that they had to create a boat using just cardboard and duct tape, and it had to take 2 students across our pool and back successfully. And they got graded on whether they made it or not, how high it sat out of the water. A lot of fun. Actually, my favorite photo, part of this photo is in the background. We had 2 students who did Noah's Ark. You see a student in a cow costume there. Next to him is Noah, and they had a bunch of Beanie Babies. Unfortunately, their ship went down and they started launching the Beanie Babies to the crowd, but everyone shows up for this event. It's a lot of fun. Just kind of an example of that learning experience. This is another one of those where, you know, in California, we have incredible landscapes. We have, like I said, access to the ocean and the mountains. And here we have students collecting water samples and then bringing it back to the lab to analyze. I believe this was a biology class studying runoff from different farms and ranches and things like that. A couple more photos here. So academic courses, we have 15 advanced level courses, which are the highest level courses that we offer at our school. We also have several specialty programs, things like Intro to Engineering, Robotics. You know, my favorite is our entrepreneurship class, where we teach students how to start and run their own business. They run a business on campus. I believe this year they're poised to make $50,000 in profit from that store. With that profit, they invest into the stock market. So when you walk into that class on any given day, there's students at the front of the class pitching different business ideas that they want to invest in as a class. They also work with CEOs from different companies on projects throughout the year. Things like makers courses, environmental science, all of our art offerings that I touched on earlier. But so much of Dunn School is what happens outside the classroom too, whether it's academic classes or otherwise. So an example, we have a mini term where we shut down classes in March for an entire week, and we have all these experiential opportunities. This is where we offer some international trips, things like surfing in service in Costa Rica, or skiing the Swiss Alps, or going to Guatemala to do a service trip, or an elephant sanctuary in Thailand, something like that. Or it could be a domestic offering, studying geology in Death Valley, zoology at the Santa Barbara Zoo. So really exciting opportunities for our students around that mini term. In addition, all of our students are going to go on outdoor education trips throughout the year. So they go with their whole entire grade. It's approximately a week long. We try and offer it as early in the fall as possible because it's a great opportunity to bond with your classmates and get to know other people. Places like Joshua Tree, Big Sur up in the Sierras, Pinnacles National Park, some wonderful opportunities there. So here's a couple photos from, well, this is pre-pandemic, some of our mini terms. So this was a marine biology mini term. This is them up in the Monterey Bay. This was surfing in Costa Rica, the Guatemala trip I mentioned to do service. We had one that studied horsemanship and natural horsemanship techniques. This group of students climbed the highest peak in the US, up in the Sierras. And then I'll transition into student life, residential life. So we have approximately 100 boarding students on our campus spread between 4 different dorms. All of our dorms have full kitchens, laundry facilities, lounge spaces where they can get together, watch television, have dorm meetings, hang out. I mentioned the privacy wall, which is actually a beautiful layout in our dorms, and each student really appreciates that. It allows you to, hang out with your roommate when you want to have that time, but also have your own space when you want that. picture of our dorm there. So also we have a residential life curriculum. And what that means is that, on the weekends, it's a really robust curriculum. It's not just, hanging around and not much to do. In fact, there's tons to do, whether it's on campus or off campus. I mentioned that the town of Los Olivos being walking distance, you'll have students walk downtown on a weekend, but we also have a bunch of off-campus trips that'll happen. We go to Santa Barbara, we go to the beach, we go surfing, stand-up paddleboarding, we go out to eat, to the movies, to different concerts, sporting activities, things like that. So students have the opportunity to sign up for one of those or several of those each weekend. In addition, some students will stay on campus. Maybe they're doing an open dorm where the students get to show off their rooms. Maybe they're doing a capture the flag or flag football, or the pool will be open for a pool party, things like that. So we try and keep the students active on the weekends. Of course, they're welcome to kind of recharge their batteries and get ready for the week ahead, but there are lots of opportunities as well. Here are students. The food trips are always a very popular one. So here's students out on a weekend going to Korean barbecue. Athletics. So students who are interested in athletics, we have a wonderful program as well. 20 different sports teams offered from beginner to advanced level. We serve the wide range of different athletes. We have students on teams who it's their first time giving it a shot, and they've always wanted to play soccer or basketball, and they have the opportunity to at Dunn. It's really kind of safe place to do it. And then we have highly skilled and advanced players as well. Students who go on to the Division I level, play in college, and are recognized in that way. Here you see all of our different sport offerings that we offer throughout each season. And I'll just pause here for a minute so anyone who's on the webinar can take a look. But you'll see we have both athletic offerings and non-athletic offerings. So if you don't fancy yourself as an athlete, but you're required to do something after school each season, maybe you're choosing something like drama or surfing or strength and conditioning, or sometimes we have a community service offering, or yoga, something like that. So we make sure to have a wide range of opportunities so that hopefully something appeals to each student each season. Here you see a couple photos of our facilities, some of our different teams. Right in the top middle there, that's our indoor gym with a big rock climbing wall that historically has been an after-school activity as well. Girls volleyball, soccer, and then boys baseball and basketball there. A couple of years ago, we did also start an ultimate Frisbee team. We play against a couple different schools as well. So that's a fun sport that a lot of students don't have any experience in, but have a great time playing when they come to Dunn. Here's our cross-country team competing against a couple other schools on our campus. Here's 3 of our recent graduates, baseball players, who all went on to play Division I baseball at Cal Berkeley, Columbia, and Michigan, all still in college and doing wonderfully. I'm just doing this photo because it's hard not to. It's one of my favorite. This is one of the undeveloped beaches about 20 minutes from our campus. Gives you an idea of kind of what the coastline looks like in most of Santa Barbara County. College counseling, I touched on this just earlier about location-wise, but we have a wonderful college counseling program. It's so individualized to each student and their needs and their wants. So we have about 90 to 100 college reps who come to our campus each year to meet with our students. Anyone can meet with them, whether you're in 9th grade or 12th grade, to learn about the program. 100% of our students do go on to 4-year colleges and universities. I'd say here 80% get into their first choice, but that's because we're really focused on fit. And that's the most important thing when you come to Dunn School and enter the college counseling program, is that it's about fit. It's not about anything else, but where are you going to be happy and successful? Let's find the best right fit for you. We also do yearly trips to colleges throughout the year so that students can step foot on many different campuses and kind of pull little nuggets from each campus and say, ooh, I like that about this one, that's about that one, and try and form your list kind of based on what you've seen and what really appeals to you. So here's some recent grads. This was, I think, the class right pre-COVID because there's no masks here. And kind of you see a sampling of the schools that they went to that year. You see, again, we pride ourselves on the diversity of schools. So you see East Coast, you see West Coast, you see Colorado, big schools, small schools, liberal arts, specialized arts schools, and that's really how we like it. Learning strategies. So we've been supporting students with mild, moderate learning differences for over 50 years with our learning strategies program. We have 7 learning specialists on staff. About 20% of our population might work with a learning specialist during their time here. And we have two different levels, a one-on-one support program as well as a group support program, really focusing on executive functioning, study skills, organization. So a wonderful program. Happy to answer any questions about this should anyone on the call have questions. Summer Academy, I just left this on here. We have a wonderful summer academy that goes for 4 weeks. We have a learning strategies portion of it. So I believe it's just domestic families on the call tonight. That's a wonderful program. And then we also this year I don't have it here, but an entrepreneurship program that also runs for 4 weeks. So that's an exciting addition for this coming summer. And then I just wanted to touch quickly on application requirements. So we have our own application on our website that you are welcome to fill out. We also accept the SAO, the common application that many families will use if they're applying to multiple schools. Part of the application asks for 3 teacher recommendations in English, math, and personal rec. That personal rec can be another teacher, a coach, someone who knows you well. We are SSAT or ISEE optional for this recruitment cycle. So you don't need to take a standardized test in order to apply. We do ask for 2 years of transcripts and then an interview, whether it's in person or Zoom, happy to do either. Some of our students here. This is always an exciting day. All right, and I will stop sharing here. And we can hop right into kind of the question and answer section. So again, the Q&A function is down at the bottom. If you have any questions real time, please put them in there. Happy to answer them. And then Britt, maybe if you want to take the lead here and lob any of the questions that came through kind of during registration, happy to answer those.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Mike. We had a great question come in, which we oftentimes get during the admission process. And it seems pretty simple, but it definitely, I think, comes up a lot. And that is, what kind of students are we looking for here at Dunn School?
Yeah, that is a great question. And, there's a lot of different kinds of students who are successful here and through the admissions process. Let me touch on kind of what we're looking for there. So students who are good fits or, I'd say typically they're very intellectually curious. They look at boarding school and they see all the different options and the small class sizes, and that just really appeals to them. There's someone who just wants more out of their education and sees boarding school as the opportunity to really have that experience. Also, we're looking for the students who look at boarding school and Dunn School and see opportunity. They say, okay, I've never done X, Y, or Z, but I'm really excited that you guys have that program and I can't wait to try it. I think that willingness to try new things is really important because, students are still very young. They might think they know exactly what they're into, but they're still experiencing a lot of things. So students who are open to those experiences are important. Academically, students who are motivated to do well. And, I think students who are motivated to do well are typically really pleasant to work with because, they might recognize they have some weaknesses in different areas or strengths in different areas, but so long as they want to improve, they want to do well, that's the most important thing for us during that application process.
Cool. Thanks so much, Mike. And when you mentioned, I love that you mentioned here at Dunn, we're looking for kids that are willing to try new things. And it just made me think about one of my favorite moments this past fall. I'm originally from the East Coast, and coming out here was really excited to join the cool California culture. And my second or third weekend working here, I went out with our surf instructor, Matt Yockey, with 2 students that were here from Germany. And that's a great example of a Dunn student. They had never been to California, were really, really invested in the surfing lifestyle, and they got out there. Didn't catch all that many waves, but their heart was in it, which I loved. And for me too, as a faculty member, seeing that was really cool, which leads me to my next question, Mike. Is there a highlight that you have that comes to mind from this past fall?
Yes, probably several of them. Let me kind of think about that for a minute. Well, one of them, so I showed a picture of Ultimate Frisbee. It is tradition for us to have a student versus faculty Ultimate Frisbee game. I'm pretty competitive when it comes to sports. I love getting out there and being part of it. I would say this is a highlight and a low. So let me tell the whole story.
Yeah.
So it's so much fun to go out there. The students really look forward to it. The faculty are excited about it. I'll tell you, we went out there, we went up big right at first. Our faculty team was having a day.
Yeah.
And then age started playing a role in there, and our students came back and they beat us by 1 point. But man, it's so fun to get out there and run with them. And yeah, that's definitely a highlight of mine. You know, another one was, gosh, this might just be because it's recent, but I love it. We had an art show last night, you know this, Britt,
Yeah.
where all of our art students who are in those classes present their work. And it's not just about kind of their work, it's about the evening. And, you know, next to all the students' artwork, there's an artist statement and an artist bio, and the students stand next to their work. So as you walk around, you know, you're able to ask them questions about what they've produced and you know what their motivation was and what they're trying to accomplish here. And it's just neat to interact with the kids in that way and hear them kind of be proud of the work that they're presenting and tell the story behind it. And then if I had to give something this fall that was just, gosh, I don't stop laughing the whole entire night. It's our annual lip sync competition. I think we had 35 acts get up there and perform, whether it was sports teams or clubs and activities or dorms or, you know, and our kids are really comfortable with each other. It's such an inclusive kind of culture and environment that they're just can be silly and funny and in the moment and love it. And I love watching our kids in that way, and they love watching each other in that way. So that's three that come to my mind just kind of off the top of my head, but yeah,
I love it. Those are great highlights. I think for the ultimate Frisbee game, we lost one faculty member about 30 seconds in because of a pulled hammy. So it was a tough loss for the adults, but we gave it our all, like you said. When I think about the lip sync too, Mike, it was so awesome to see that, because I think every single Dunn student got up there at some point, and that type of culture is really hard to cultivate in high schools. And oftentimes there can be this really high pressure that comes with being in a high school environment. And that is something that Dunn has done a really good job, from my perspective, in managing and kind of helping shape what that experience is. And we had a great question come in that kind of talks about that potential pressure that kids might feel in high school. And that is around APs. And are we a school right now that is offering AP courses? So if you could touch upon that, that would be great.
Yeah. I think there was a slide in there that briefly touched on our advanced courses. And if you know about APs, that might kind of be a little bit confusing when we say advanced versus AP. So a couple of years ago, Dunn School did start moving away from an AP curriculum. And actually, this is an industry standard in private schools now. The fact that APs are very much kind of this public school model where I need to teach you this, and this, and you need to regurgitate that information on a standardized test at the end of the year and just kind of try and remember as much as you could and put it down on a piece of paper and hope that your brain type is the kind of brain that does well on those kind of situations. Most schools that offer APs will tell you that their best teachers at the school typically teach those classes. Those teachers will tell you it is their least favorite class to teach of all of their classes. And why is that? Because it takes away kind of what makes teaching at private school special. The idea that you can dive deep into topics, you can teach to student interests, you can teach your own passions, and really make it rich and meaningful. Where AP, it's just about getting through that textbook and memorizing that information. So you can't go off on certain areas deeper than others. You just need to get through it. So, you know, some questions that parents typically have for us, and Britt, you've heard them, is that, well, how does this affect their college placement? At this point, every college across the country understands the idea of advanced classes versus AP classes. Like I said, there's thousands of schools who have also made this transition. We're not blazing the trail for it. We're definitely early adopters. We see the value in it. But colleges and universities are really, when they look at your transcript, saying, you know, have you pushed yourself to take the most challenging classes that your school offers? And advanced classes, they're weighted the same way in your GPA as an AP class, and colleges and universities recognize that as well. They are accredited through the UC system as well as advanced classes. So people always say, or I tell people, you know, the only downside is, sure, you don't get that AP test at the end where maybe you'll get a college credit if you score. a certain amount. And I always say, I haven't met many people who have gone to college for less than 4 years. So how important that 1 or 2 college credit might be in the grand scheme of things, I think the learning environment makes up for it.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I think hearing Gene Vashon, who's our head of the upper school, he, Mike and I were recently in a conversation. He also said, that really resonated with me, that it really not offering these hard AP courses, it really caters to Dunn's philosophy of whole student education. And right now we're in finals week, and I think the school is, doing a great job of balancing assessments while also making sure that it's not too stressful for our kids and helping them find balance. Is there anything else that you might want to add around assessments?
Yeah, actually that does bring up a good point, Britt, is that, our philosophy as a school is, 9th and 10th graders, there's not really the need for that high stakes, high pressure test, especially recognizing, we celebrate neurodiversity. We know that the high pressure tests don't cater to every brain type. So 9th and 10th grade, you're going to see alternate modes of assessment come semester end. So what does that look like? Does that look like a project or a class presentation or, a science fair or, whatever it happens to be? Just a way that you're proving and showing what you've learned throughout the semester in a way that makes sense. Entering 11th and 12th grade, we do introduce kind of those semester or year-end final exams. And why do we do that? Well, because we do also understand that colleges and universities are still, you're going to be introduced to that at that level. So you need to have some comfort and some experience with that kind of pressure so that you're ready for that next step. And I really feel like that's a good balance of that we've made for our students in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Switching gears a little bit, Mike, just because I am conscious of time. We had a question come in about 2 minutes ago. Just can you touch upon a little bit more about financial aid in the application process?
Yeah, sorry, and that didn't mention that in the application slide there. So Dunn School does offer need-based financial aid. So for any family who might not be able to afford full tuition, we support them with financial aid. There is an application process that families need to go through, and the deadline for that is February 1st. You can find more information on it on our website under Affording Dunn School and the admissions tab. But typically we give just over $3 million in financial aid. It's really based on a family's ability to pay. So it captures their financial information, puts it through an algorithm, and then kind of lets us know what that family can afford. And we do our best as a school to meet that need for accepted families. So I think the most important thing is that deadline of February 1st, if families are interested in that.
That's great. Thank you so much, Mike. And I just dropped the link in the chat so people can jump on that. And when we post to YouTube, we'll include that as well. Another great question, Mike, is the placement, placing students in classes. If you could touch upon that briefly, when students are accepted, it's the summer, they're coming to campus. What does that process look like when they get their schedule?
Yeah. So our registrar is in touch with all of our students throughout the summer, looking at their transcripts coming in and helping them kind of discuss their class options as 9th graders. Yeah. I can tell you, coming in as a 9th grader, we have students from, say we have 50 9th graders, potentially they're coming from 50 different schools, not always, but potentially. That 9th grade year is a very, very much a foundational year. Let's get everyone on the same page, work on the skills that they need to be successful throughout their time at Dunn School. So, if I'm being honest, there's not a whole lot of different placements that need to go on. There's a couple of different classes that have different levels, but overall, it's really a foundational year. Moving forward from that 9th grade year, that's when we can begin a little bit more specialization. Are you really interested in high performing math student or science student?
Sure.
You want to take a higher level, like an honors course in those areas and kind of work your way to those advanced classes that we talked about over the next couple of years. Additionally, we have our required classes or required credits for each class. As students get older, say 11th and 12th grade, there's more flexibility in their schedules as well. So if a student wants to, double up in science classes or take our entrepreneurship class, or maybe they're really a passionate art student and they want to take multiple art classes, that's really the time to do it as they get older as well, 11th and 12th grade.
Cool. That's so helpful. And one other thing that I'll add about requirements is it is required of every student before they graduate is that they will do their outdoor education trip, which I think is really cool. Mike thinks is really cool. And if you want to learn more about that on our website, check out the programs webinar. But that's a really cool thing that Dunn gets to offer.
Especially with our location, right? Where else can you find kind of the resources we have for those trips?
Yep, absolutely. Well, Mike, I'm looking at time, and I think looking at our last questions here that were submitted prior, it looks like our questions have been answered in our chat. Is kind of a fun question for you. I think, you know, you've been at the school for nearly 10 years and, you know, families are curious, you and also other faculty members that have been here, what has kept you here for so long?
Yeah. Wow, that's a loaded question. You know, when I first actually interviewed at Dunn School 9 years ago, I was so drawn to the people who worked here and how passionate they were. It felt like almost this healthy competition of who was doing the most for the students. And it was very student centered. And every single faculty member I met with during my interview process, I was like, wow, that faculty member was more interesting than the next or the next. And it's just this, and also like this sense of entrepreneurship among the whole school of like, I don't know, just this sense of like doing things really well. I wanted to be a part of it at that time.
Yeah.
So yes, I've been here for a while now. What keeps me here is I do believe that Dunn School focuses on the important things that I want for my own family. My daughter's in 8th grade at our middle school, and you know, she's thriving, and I just love that whole student approach is so important to me as a father. You know, I think the most important thing for my own children is I want them happy, healthy, and fulfilled. And I feel like the mission of whole student education really buys into that of, you know, again, I said it earlier, focusing on the right things. So that's what keeps us here. Los Olivos, the San Ynez Valley is wonderful. California, our location, the culture here on campus, the faculty, the community is so special to all of us. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
That's awesome. The only thing that Mike didn't mention is he has 2 of his own horses here on campus. So he's really leaning into everything that this valley has to offer.
Yeah, I think that's me there. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, you can see all the cowboy stuff there on his left. Well, that's really helpful, Mike. And I think there were some other questions that were submitted just around kind of residential life, the student experience, and we, in this Dunn discussion series, we touched upon a lot of that. And so we really encourage you to go check out those videos on our webpage, and I will drop them into the chat shortly. And then Mike, can you just again, briefly touch upon coming to campus and our protocols and interviews and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. So for anyone on the call, if you haven't visited campus yet or anything like that, we are offering and have been offering on-campus tours and interviews here. Happy to schedule that with you. We do have a visiting protocol we go through of just kind of a health questionnaire and screening upon arrival. But our doors are open. Love to see you. Love to have you, show you around as we walk around campus. It's a very outdoor campus. We're outside a lot. When we do go inside, we do mask up. But happy to show anyone around who's interested, and yeah, just be in touch with us and schedule that.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Mike. This was a blast, and thank you to everyone for tuning in. We are so close. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be in touch soon.
See you, everyone. Have a great night.